We were hit by an SUV, spun around, airbags, the whole thing. It was a hit and run, by the way, which was really lovely. It was very frightening, but I thought I had walked away unscathed, relatively, scared, but unharmed. And then about 2 months later, I started having these very brief, but very intense stabbing pains that started in my lower back and shot down to my toes, my left toes. And I was, and to some degree, although this is one of the beautiful parts of the ugly part, I'm much less of a workaholic than I was. True to form, I ignored it and worked and ignored it and worked and ignored it and worked. It became more frequent. And then one day, my wife Betsy and I were pulling into the garage, and the pain struck again, and I'm talking about torturous pain. I don't know if you've ever experienced nerve pain. That's how they torture me. So just imagine Marathon Man, but it never stops. So what happened was this pain struck and it didn't stop. And I was sort of paralyzed from the waist down. And it's very frightening. If you've had a stroke, you know what this feels like. It was the first time in my life that my brain told my body to move and it wouldn't move, which is very, very frightening. Betsy called the doctor. The doctor said, call the paramedics. You can't lift him out of the car yourself. And I said, being who I was, I said, F the paramedics. I don't need the paramedics. So this keeps falling.
I'm going to suggest you put on your jacket.
Yeah, good idea. You're a professional. Thicker. Okay, so much better. So what I did was I opened the car door and I leaned my upper body over and allowed gravity to cause me to flop out of the car like a fish onto the garage floor, and then I dragged my lower body with my upper body across the garage floor, up 3 steps, into the house. That door from the garage goes right into my study. So I made it about 2 feet into my study, and I just curled up, fetus-like, and wept and begged for morphine. Everybody, why don't we do that now? Everybody check your phones. Take a second to do that. Anyway, so I was begging for morphine. Now, one of the nice things about a lot of rabbis complain about being rabbis and they forget about all the good things. One of the nice things, really nice things about being a rabbi is doctors take really good care of you. Quite seriously, they do. First of all, nobody wants the rabbi dying up there. That's just really bad for business.
Right. That'd be bad marketing.
Yeah. So within this is a long way of saying, within a half an hour I had oxy at the house. And I started taking opioids, like candy. And for those of you who haven't taken opioids, they don't make you stoned. They don't make you feel high. In my case, they moved the pain from a 10 to a 9.8. And this started a cycle of opioids, steroids, injections. Finally, it was 10 days before Rosh Hashanah, and we were reopening the sanctuary after 7 or 8 years of hard work and fundraising. The old me had to be there. So this head guy at Cedar said, look, if you don't have the surgery in the next day or two, there's no way you're going to be on the beat for Rosh Hashanah. It's not going to happen. And even then, we're going to have to shoot you up to get you up there. So I had the surgery, and then more opioids and steroids, and then a half hour before, we have a 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock service, as some of you know, at night for Rosh Hashanah at Kol Nidre. So a half hour before each service, he shot me up, and I was able to go out and stand and do my thing. That caused me to lose a lot of ground, more opioids. And then I spiraled into depression. I'd never been a depressed person in my life, always an optimistic person. Had no idea what depression was like, and now I do. So I became depressed. And I went through a very difficult time. I could get off of the opioids. I went to a psychiatrist, a wonderful, talented person to help me with the depression. And to make a long story short, what it revealed to me is that despite my best efforts during those 27 years to help people through pain, I actually knew nothing about pain when I was helping them. And this book is in a way my apology, a repair, a setting the record straight about pain. And as you rightly say, and I talk about in the book, the fact that we all go through hell. What I say in the book is the point of going through hell is not to come out empty-handed. None of us get to choose our suffering. To be human is to suffer. But we can be worthy of that suffering. Dostoevsky said his greatest fear was that his life would not be worthy of his suffering. It's such a powerful idea. Can you be worthy of what you have endured? Can you lead a life worthy of your suffering? That's a very profound question. And it's a very powerful way to live. And that's what led to my desire to spend about 3 years
Writing this.
trying to help people understand the trajectory that pain is, what the journey is. The book, as you know, is divided into 3 sections: surviving, healing, and growing. And to try to help people, because for me, the worst part of pain, I think, is not so much the particular affliction, but the feeling of isolation that pain brings, that you're in it alone, that no one understands. Not even that no one cares, because people care, but they don't understand. This feeling of isolation is the worst part of pain. And ironically, although we feel terribly isolated, pain is the one thing that unites all of us.
Right, we all experience it.
Right. So I try this book to create this bridge between those two, opposing truths, that pain is isolating, yet pain is the common denominator to all of human existence. Now, if we can somehow connect those two, then pain becomes not just pain, it becomes a path toward meaning and toward leading a beautiful, more beautiful life in some ways. To be a spiritual person, I think. Spirituality is an overused word. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I don't even know what that means. But here's what it means to me to be a spiritual person. It means that you have this ability, this maturity, to hold two seemingly antithetical truths together in one soul. And the truth, I think, of the pain dichotomy is that in a way, we are only actually whole after we're broken. There's a kind of wholeness that you cannot achieve without brokenness.
Absolutely, right.
And that seems paradoxical and impossible, but it's absolutely true. And therefore, to me, it's a spiritual idea. And in no way do I need to idealize pain. Not for a moment am I here to tell you it's worth it. It's great. Because now your life's going to be... No, it's not worth it. I have a friend, his name is Paul Miller, an amazing guy. He had cancer, three different cancers. And the third cancer was fatal. And I was visiting him in the hospital when he was dying of the third cancer, after they had amputated his arm. And he looked up at me and he said, Steve, this much character, I don't need.
Exactly.
Like, I got it the first time. I'm not here to tell you it's worth it. I'm here to tell you it's not worth less. That's the point.
And epiphanies like that run throughout the book as you share various people's stories.